What's going on, guys? It's Brandon back here again today, and today we're going to be doing our annual video of reviewing how the Hawks did against every single team, and I'm going to be changing up something a bit. I've finally come to the realization that's probably a bright idea now, since I can only record seemingly the upper part of my board. I'm going to move these extra bonus magnets that I have that are kind of around the top of the board down. I've already started moving the smaller ones, and just to show it, for example, move the big one, move it down here. That way I have more space at the top where I actually can film now. So I think that's probably a better idea, and the fact that I haven't come to that realization now, until now, is kind of stupid of me. So, it's alright. I'm on summer vacation, I'm not really thinking, so even though I do have summer school classes. So, we got every team on the board here. Some of them, there's, on this row, there's Tampa and Nashville beneath that where you can't see. I tried moving it up and the camera froze. Washington, Edmonton, those two are beneath Anaheim right here. And then under here, you just have LA right under Philly. Chicago this year went 23, 53, and 6, 52 points. And just like every year, we're going to divide each team into wins, OT losses, and losses. Only, I think, 2 teams on the board, if I remember correctly. 3 teams. 4 teams. 4 teams on the board that they won the season series against. Everyone else they either lost to or split. They were swept, I believe, 15 times. They only swept 1 team, which covers half the league. So that tells you all you need to know. To start, we also go in chronological order from when they first played the team. So we started off where we started the season in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, they win that first game 4-2. Later in the year, they lose 4-1. So they get 1 win and 1 loss against Pittsburgh. And then against Boston, they go 0-0-0 and 2 losses, 3-1 and 3-0. Bedard getting his first goal in that first 3-1 loss against Boston. Against Montreal, they lose 3-2 and 5-2. I probably should have had one of those games early in the season. 2 losses there. That's another team they were swept by. We're going to mark which ones they've been swept by. So we got Boston. We'll put a dot. Montreal, they were swept by. Split the season series, we're not going to put anything, and then if they win a season series, we'll put a check mark. Against Toronto, they win 4-1 and 4-3 in overtime, so they go 1-1, 0-0. They win that series there. They sweep the Toronto Maple Leafs because that's the most fitting thing I can think of. Against Colorado, who they played 4 times, they lose 4-0. They win 3-2. They lose 5-0, and they lose 5-0. So they get shut out 3 out of 4 times, and they win the other one, 1-0-0 and 3. Against Vegas, they lose 5-3. They win 4-3 in overtime, and then lose 3-1, 0-1, 0-2. Arizona, they play 3 times. They lose 8-1 in the first meeting. I remember that because they scored 28 seconds in, and then Arizona just took over. 5-2 and 7-4, which Colin Blackwell had a hat trick in that 7-4 win. They take the season series against Arizona. It's not looking too bad so far when you look at it this way. They've got swept twice, and they've taken the season series against 2 teams. Against Florida, they win 5-2, and then they lose 4-3. So they beat the team that's leading in the Stanley Cup final right now. So 1-1, that's a 1-0-0-1. That's a season split. Against New Jersey, they lose 4-2 both times, so 0-0-0 and 2. So that's a sweep right there, so that's right, gets a dot. Against Tampa, one of those games I went to, not the one where they win 5-3, but the one they lost 4-2, so 1-0-0 and 1 again. Against Nashville, who they played 4 times, they're never good against Nashville. Lose 4-2, lose 4-3 in the shootout, lose 3-0, lose 5-1. That's a sweep right there. And they've been swept 4 times in the first row, and they have won the season series against 2 teams. Second row, we start with Buffalo, who they lost to 3-2 and 3-0. 0-0-0 and 2. Nashville, they went 0-0-1 and 3. So Buffalo, that's a sweep right there. That's number 5. Columbus, a team that was just as bad as them, if not worse. The Hawks just had injuries. 7-3, 5-2. That's a sweep by Columbus right there, as they go 0-0 and 2 against them. St. Louis, we lose 4-2, we win 3-1, we lose 5-2, and we lose 7-5. Yeah, so 1-0-0 and 3. Same as Colorado. Against Seattle, we win 4-3, then we lose 7-1 and 6-2, so 1-0-0 and 2. Against Detroit, they lose 5-1 before Patrick Kane is on the team, and then of course probably the best game of the year. They lose 3-2 in overtime to Detroit. Patrick Kane with the OT winner. They get swept by Detroit, but it's an okay sweep because I was rooting for Detroit to make the playoffs because Patrick Kane was on that team. Winnipeg lose 3-1, win 2-1 in overtime, in which Bedard took over that game. Lose 2-1, lose 3-2, so 0-1-0-3. Against Minnesota, lose 4-1, lose 2-1, lose 4-0, 0-0-0-3. That's a sweep right there for Minnesota. Against Anaheim, we have a series win, as they win 1-0, they win 7-2, and they lose 4-0, so 2-0-0-1. Against Washington, who they swept the year previous, lose 4-2, lose 4-1. That's another sweep right there. And then against Edmonton, who's in the final, 4-1, 2-1, 3-0, all Edmonton victories. That's another sweep, 0-0-0-3. So at the end of two rows right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sweeps, 3 series wins in the regular season. Against Vancouver, 4-3, 2-0, 4-2 losses. That's a 0-0-0-3. That's a clean sweep for Vancouver. Against Dallas, lose 5-4 in overtime, lose 3-1, lose 8-1. I remember that one too. Mason Marchment had a pretty good game that game, and they won 3-2. So go 1-0-1-2. Dallas wins the season series, but they don't get the sweep because I remember Mrazek stood on his head in that 3-2 win. Against the Rangers, they lose 4-1 and then 4-3 in overtime. That's a sweep by the Rangers. President's Trophy winner. They got 1 point out of that team. Against Calgary, who they always do well against, win 4-3, win 3-1, and then lose 1-0. That's a series victory. And so all Western teams they swept? No, all Eastern team they swept is Toronto. Only Eastern team they had any victories against really was Toronto. San Jose, the one team they swept, so we'll get a check mark there. I think Toronto, Arizona. Yeah, it's series number 5 that they've won. 1 win, 2 overtime losses, no overtime losses or losses. Those games are 2-1 in a shootout, 5-4 in overtime, including a 4-0 comeback and a 5-2 victory. Yeah, if they don't win those games against San Jose, they probably have Macklin Celebrini right now. Against the Islanders, they win 4-3 in overtime. I remember Seth Jones got the OT winner in that one. And then they lose 2-1. They split the season series 0-1-0-1. Ottawa, they win 3-2 and then lose 2-0. So 1-0-0-1. Against Carolina, you know they were already swept 6-3 and 4-2. 0-0-0-2 there. Against Philadelphia, they lose 3-1, but they win 5-1 as well. So 1-0-0-1. And against LA, the game I went to, they lose 5-0. So that was fantastic. And then they lose 6-2 and 5-4 in overtime. 0-0-1-2. So calculations at the end of this, well, they all add up to 23, 52, 53, and 6. But they get swept by Boston, Montreal, New Jersey, Nashville, Buffalo, Columbus. That's 6. Detroit, 7, Minnesota, 8, Washington, 9, Edmonton, 10, Vancouver, 11, New Rangers, 12, Carolina, 13, LA, 14, if I'm not missing any, which I don't think I am, 14. Looks about right. And anyway, that's going to be really all I have for you guys on this one. Got swept in the regular season 14 times by 14 different teams. Won 5 series against Toronto, Calgary, San Jose, Anaheim, and Arizona. And everything else is kind of meandering. So take what you get from that. Of course, every year seems to change. We swept Washington last year, and this year we got swept by them. And then we beat Calgary pretty good both times. So who knows? But different year every year, different team every year. That's going to be all I have for you guys in this one. Look forward to the 2005-2006 season coming soon. And I shall see you all in the next one. Have a good one.